who said, you know, he wasn't too bright. He said, and he would famously say, "Well, I'm here, aren't I?" What could maybe a Donald Trump learn from that? I know he bristles at this criticism in this book. And
you know what happens to him is he goes out and he'll have an event like today, and he'll basically have a cheering crowd,
right.
and he'll come back and he'll read the papers tomorrow, and basically won't be as praiseworthy. I mean, he sees these as sort of his ratings, where a lot of politicians have been around a while, and certainly Reagan, by having had a long career in movies, they don't pay any attention to it. You pay attention to the people you believe in, like Fox and other places, but the Washington Post, the New York Times, they're never going to write good stuff about him. And I think every day he wants that reinforcement. He's like every politician; he wants to be loved a little bit, and I think that's. And he reacts and overreacts sometimes. But the key thing, I think, is you're going to be measured by your programs. You had a great end of the year. You have a great year this year, and basically serve out this term and let history write the books about you.
Well, what do you make of the Michael Wolff's premise that the president is unstable and that people around him think he's unstable? That essentially he's too nuts for the job, as if they would know or be able to qualify that.
And you know, there's hundreds of people who work in the White House. Who are the people that basically saying he's unstable? It's certainly not the general who's running the show at this point in time. Certainly not his cabinet. World leaders who basically sit down face to face with him. No one walks away saying this guy's not stable. We knew what he was when we elected him. He was a different sort. He wasn't a professional politician. He had a unique personality. He basically got a lot of his support after his television shows and what have you.
Right.
And I think to a certain extent, he's a good communicator, and he basically goes out and connects with audiences, and he knows what he wants to do. And they're not necessarily popular positions with the mainstream media, but they certainly are popular positions with his supporters.
Maybe the lesson here, maybe Ronald Reagan first laid it out, other successful president, John Kennedy, right, is you never let him see you sweat. You never let him think that you're getting under, they're getting under your skin. There's some value in that.
There's tremendous value in that. I use a different term. I say never show pain. No matter how hard they hit you, never react like it's no big deal. And Reagan was great that way. And I asked him one time, I said, don't you ever take any of this seriously? He said, Ed, I was a movie star for 25 years. I wasn't a great actor. He said, I got panned every single day, every single movie. And I basically just keep going on, appreciate what you have. I'm just grateful to have this country to serve, and I basically care very much about the people. And I think to a certain extent, that's where what drove him. He cared about the young people in this country, and every day he got up and he did that.
You know, you talk about the people who serve him as well. The rap that comes through in this book, I don't know how true it is. I finished reading it this week, and I was left the impression that he's surrounded by people who either don't like him, trust him, or afraid of him. There's none of the camaraderie and loyalty that, for example, Ronald Reagan enjoyed with his staff, cabinet officials, higher-ups, people like yourself. But that might be just a wrong impression. What do you think?
No, I think it's very true. I mean, I read the book over the weekend, too, and I didn't learn anything new, having watched it pretty closely. I was kind of amazed at the disarray, and I was really amazed at in a very short period of time. This was before they had to change the chief of staff. They were all kind of getting even with each other. Everybody kind of had their own little power center. Everybody had their own little media program, as opposed to basically being there to serve the president. One of the key things when you do a lot of campaigns, you do a lot of service, as I have in government, you serve the person that's there. There are 538 people who got votes in Washington, D.C., president, vice president, 100 senators, 435 congressmen. Everybody else lives off of their reflected power. And the bottom line is those are the people who got the votes, those are the people you serve. And if you can't serve them, you walk out. You don't basically trash them in magazines and publications.
Yeah, we're listening to Sonny Perdue, the Agriculture Secretary, getting set to introduce the president. But I did want to, while you're still here, my friend, is get your sense of where the president goes to from here. I think if it were not for some of these lapses where either tweets or gets, vexing with those who are criticizing him, he does have a record with the markets and the economy, these tax cuts that could be bigger and more substantial and beneficial to the American people and the economy than has generally been given the case, that would have him soaring right now.
Well, I think he's turned this thing around, and obviously the chief of staff change is in general is very important. And I think to a certain extent there's order there now.
Yeah.
And he had great accomplishments at the end of the year. I think it was a learning curve. I mean, he's never been in government.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And none of the people around him had ever been in the White House, had never been in government. His campaign was composed of people that had abandoned those people, never been in a campaign before. So to a certain extent, they're kind of all in there like they're like ducks. Every day is a brand new day. And I think to a certain extent, he knew what he wanted to do. And it's kind of a question of working stuff out and And there hasn't been a good communications operation. It's much better now. Someone like Hope Hicks is very loyal to him. Sarah Huckabee's very loyal to him. But there are a whole bunch of people out there trying to serve themselves and tell it. There's always a tendency to tell the press, I'm so smart, I'm the one that's making the speech, I'm the one that's doing this, I'm really the power behind the throne. And basically the bottom line is you're there to help the person that won. You help them every single day to move forward.
Why can't he then leave it, maybe to surrogates or people on his behalf? Hey, look at these markets, look at everything else. You know, maybe that's something the president will remind people to do.
He needs to do it. And the truth of the matter is, every single member of his cabinet, there ought to be a theme of the week, ought to be out there telling the thing. Here he comes. So.
All right, thank you very much.
Let him carry his own speech.
Indeed. You'd be a wonderful anchor if you wanted to take a step back there.
I just want to be with you.
There we go.
Thanks.
The president.